Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Behind the Scenes Live. That's BTS Live for short, episode number 34. And that's after a long break of a good month, a little over a month, maybe 5 weeks. As always, my co-host, Mark Rogers. Let's see if I can get him on there. Mark, how are you?
You remember how to do this, Mark?
Yeah, you know what? You can tell I'm a little rusty with the switches. In fact, it's funny because I didn't have my audio set up right on the open. So, had to redo that a little bit. So, but anyways, that's what editing's for. Anyways, how are you, Mark?
Things have been good.
Yeah?
I've generally been staying, unlike you, in one spot. Been doing all my work right here in beautiful Connecticut, not traveling the countryside like you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I've been away, doing quite a bit of traveling lately for clients. We started now. The reason why we took the break to begin with was I had several jobs to do on the road, video production, live streaming. Actually, it's funny because we did 3 cities so far. We did Pittsburgh, which I was able to meet Stephen Haywood. He came down from his place to Pittsburgh, and these are parties for a client of ours whose their client is Verizon. And we were doing a series of influencer parties targeted at the younger demographic to promote their plans. So we are in there to provide video, not only live streaming, but also within the venue itself. We show video and kind of do some interviews. We have a lot of Instagram influencers. That's really who they were targeting. So I've been traveling. So the first one was Pittsburgh, met Steve Haywood. In fact, Steven, when we come back with Broadcast Now, Steven, just a little tease there, Steven actually took some pictures or some video of me in Pittsburgh of setting up and doing some on-the-scene video work. So that'll be good. So we'll see that hopefully next week. And then I went off to Detroit, do the same thing. And all these parties were all at rooftop venues, all really nice venues. Detroit was right downtown. It was right near the Comerica ballpark, so we had a nice view there. And then the very next week, these are 3 weeks in a row, we were off to Chicago, another very nice venue, rooftop, and we got really lucky with the weather all 3 times. All nice warm evenings. I think Detroit, we came closest to the rain possibility, so we missed the raindrops by probably about a half hour. And then next week we head to Cincinnati to do a party there, and that'll be it for a while. So I was telling Mark in the pre-show, my arm, you guys can't tell, but I can barely raise my right arm, and it's worth telling the story because when I do these videos, Steven's laughing. When I do these videos, I take a carry-on. So I have the TriCaster Mini, which is a great little machine. It's very compact. Steven in the chat room uses a TriCaster. He uses a TriCaster 460. I use a Mini. Looks like a small box. It fits in a carry-on very, very nicely. So I pack that. I pack my keyboard. I pack a couple of cameras, cables, all that stuff. And after a while, even though it's a small piece of equipment, the weight starts to add up. So being on these flights, in these 737 Southwest flights, and having to use the overhead, I'm not going to check that bag. Who knows what I'll get. When I land the destination, it'll be all jumbled up. So I pack everything in there. So I have to lift this bag up into the carry-on. And none of these flights are direct flights. I had to get off, get on. So that's 2 times. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 times each way. So, and anybody who's flown knows that those carry-ons, they're at a weird angle. So you got to reach up, and if your bag is heavy, it's all arm. So I'm reaching up there, pulling the bags every time. And then over time, I need a sling or something. I took some, I need to rest it. So I'm hopefully I'll be good for Wednesday, because that's when I fly out again. So my arm is killing me right here. I can lift it a certain way and this and that, but you're
not going to be doing the wave anytime soon.
No, I am not doing well. Oh, it just when I move it a certain way, I feel it. It was bad this morning when I woke up. I was really stiff, and Brad's already made the age jokes in the chat, so we don't need to go there. Brad will take care of that, all that in the chat. But yeah, it was. That's the only downside of doing. I mean, it was great going to all these cities and doing the video, but it's brutal. So, anyways, that's what I've been doing up to this point. I've also been producing a lot of video for clients, so that's all picking up, and that's great to see. Video is becoming very, very popular live and also produced. These interview formats, especially, which is great. And Brad is priceless in the chat. And maybe I'll read some of them to everybody as we go. But Mark, on to you. And again, we're going to have to do a whole show on your history on YouTube, but I know that you've been very, very busy, as always. So I won't tell the story, but why don't you tell the folks what you've been up to during our break here?
I think what's exciting for me right now is not necessarily that I'm doing much different, but the results are a little bit different and a little bit better than what they've been in the past. So I think we've got some college football fans on board that know that we're entering week 3 of college football season. So this is my time of year. So if you haven't seen us before, I have a YouTube channel and also a website, markrogerstv.com. But basically, I'm focusing right now for a number of reasons on the YouTube platform, Mark Rogers TV, which I have narrowed down to college football over the last couple years. Certainly, if I'm able to get a hold of a really good interview, then I will take advantage, even if they're not college football related, i.e. a couple weeks ago, Taylor Rooks, who is a anchor reporter for the Big Ten Network, moving to SNY in New York, Sportsnet New York. Just interviewed her. We've been following each other on Twitter, and I've had her on a couple times. Great girl. And did an interview with her about her transition going from covering college sports to now the Mets, the Yankees, the Giants, the Jets, and the whole deal in New York City. So that was really interesting. But it's been college football nonstop for me, 24/7, 365 for a few years now. And really, as Marty and I have talked about on this show and also off the show, building a website is the way that I really ultimately need to go. I still have all that in place. It's still there, but I haven't been able to build it the way I would like to from a functional standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint. So I really focused on YouTube videos and producing those videos. I've also focused on building a network, and I'm having some thoughts about how I'm going to take the next steps in building that network. So a network of contacts and business relationships, and mostly for me, that's bringing on other content creators that are college football experts, bloggers, writers, broadcasters. Have interviewed a number of coaches and players as well. Went to, during our hiatus, the American Athletic Conference Media Day in Newport, Rhode Island. And
yeah, I saw those. Those are great. That worked out well for you.
I knocked out 24 interviews in about, I don't know, 2.5 or 3 hours.
Nice. You made the most of the time there.
Yeah, I made the most of the time. Just kept bringing them over. Sit down, coach. Boom, knock out the interview. Bring in the next person. What's difficult about that is I don't cover that conference on a regular basis. And you guys know from watching football, even if you're familiar with a football team, once they take the helmets off, it's sometimes difficult to identify these guys. So just sorting the guys out and conducting quality interviews and intelligent interviews was a challenge in and of itself. So hopefully in talking to a few people, I faked myself through that. But it's college football season, and I'm producing as many videos as possible. So with myself being the primary analyst and content creator, but as we've talked about on this show, realizing a couple years ago that I could really draw from the knowledge and insight of those people that cover the beat for that particular conference or team, bringing them in, and also gaining from their popularity, their influence, their realm of influence, and building that network out from that standpoint as well. So just to give you an idea of the type of increase that I've seen recently that's very exciting is generally over the last couple of years, and I've increased my views, my subscribers by generally 30 to 40% the last 2 to 3 years, and we're talking pretty small numbers here. So don't if you don't. If you're used to following those YouTube stars out there that have the millions of views, that's not what I'm talking about right now.
And I know you'll get into this, but you raise a really, really good point there, Mark, because, you know, when you first started, we talked a lot about it's going to be a lot of, and I'm seeing my arm, it's like, it's a lot of this for a long time, where the rate of increase, I mean, lots of times when you first started, you get excited about 1 or 2 subscribers, or every single person that comes on, and it takes a while, and I know you're going to get into this, and then it takes such a long time for you to get, I know you just passed a milestone, and I think when people, like for people first discovering you now and see what you have now, the views and the subscribers, and I think, oh man, they think it just arrives there, like you just started yesterday, and you're just arriving there, but I know you'll get into it a little bit here.
I produced my first video in January of 2010, and Marty's done the famed explanation in the past, and we'll dive into that on another show when we go from soup to nuts of the Mark Rogers TV build out. But I've really been serious about doing this near full time, and doing it with the thought of and the intent of building out a business and having a business minded approach to it about 3 years ago. So I would gain like 100 subscribers in a year. Then I gained about 180 in a year. Then last year I added 300 subscribers for the year. So not a big deal. 25 subscribers a month. That's about what it works out to. 300 subscribers for 2015. Now over the last several months, we're talking about gaining as many as 175 subscribers in a month. So that's an increase of like 25 to 175. What, 6 times, 7 times the number of subscribers.
I mean, your gains, like your monthly gains are what you would get maybe in a year, right? I mean, you're I mean, it's unbelievable.
2 years ago, it was 182 added subscribers for the year on YouTube, and in this past 30 days, it's been 175.
Wow.
What that is meant in views is typically this past football season and off season, I'd get 12 to 14,000 views in a month. And as Marty knows, this isn't 1 video a week. This isn't 2 videos a week. This is like cranking them out, like sitting down, just knocking them out.
Prolific. That's all. I mean, one word describes you, Mark. And you've been doing this for a long time. It's not like you just started cranking out videos yesterday. I mean, from the very beginning, you were just, I mean, I would always be amazed. And this is something that we'll get into deeper, like you said, on another show, because I'm just fascinated with the whole iPhone story. You know, we've gone through this before, how you started and how it was basically everything from this antiquated iPhone, and it's just the amount of content that you are still able to generate, and not only the amount but the quality, I think, is the key thing. That's a huge advantage, you know, and to able to keep that up for now, you're in your 6th year already of faithfully, and it's not like you're taking time off. I mean, you're cranking this out on a consistent basis, and you work for the worldwide leader, full-time job in management. Takes a lot of time out of your schedule there. So I'm just amazed that you have time for that. You do this show, and it's just amazing. So.
Yeah, you know, Marty, sometimes if I'm able to, I'll book guests in 15 to 30-minute intervals, and I'll just knock them out. The UCLA guy, the Texas A&M guy, the Arizona guy, et cetera, and just knock them out one by one. And then I've got a lot of post-production on my hands, but I've got that down to a pretty tight workflow. In terms of views, this past football season and off season, I would see anywhere from 10 to 13 to 14,000 views in a month during the off season, and during the college football season, it would ramp up to something like 20 or maybe 21, 22,000. I started to really see some increases in June, and in June I hit over 41,000 views. Then in July it was 57,000. In August it was 85,000, and now over the last month it's about 105,000 views over the last 30 days.
That's, I mean, to be 6. I mean, you used to try to get that in a year. I mean, I remember. five figures in a year was huge, you know. And you're cranking I mean, in the beginning, just to again put some perspective on this. And you know, when you first started, I always thought, you know, I always had the opinion, you know, of, you know, that you're a pro on the air. You've been in a professional environment before. You were a sports anchor in a couple of markets. We've gone through that story before. So you certainly have the skill to do it. You have the interest, you have the knowledge certainly to do it. And you certainly picked the niche that you're passionate about. With all that said, and the ability to, you know, to really know your stuff on the air and really present it well. I mean, I've learned a lot from you, Mark. I mean, I am not, you know, just watching you, and you know, I'm the technical guy, but this on the air stuff, I'd rather be behind the controls. Being on the air is not a natural thing for me. So to watch a real pro do it, that's been a huge benefit to me. But even with all that said, I mean, the effort that you've had to put in, and also the patience, knowing that, oh man, I might get 5 views or 10 views, and this went on month after month after month, and the content was great quality. I mean, it was simple. You didn't have a lot of fancy stuff and everything. It was all content, but it was great. But no, again, nobody knows you're there, and you just got, you know, it's this constant, you know, consistency with the content. It's got to be good. But eventually people start to discover you. And the thing I noticed, and this could be a good tip for people out there that are looking to start YouTube channels or looking to start content. One of the things I noticed was, and I think both of us noticed this, is the quality of your comments, even from very early time, were really high quality. You could tell by the comments how people were engaged. And what I always would get a kick out of is there'd always be a couple comments in there in each video saying, "Oh, you should be on ESPN." I always got a kick out of that, not knowing that you actually worked there. Now you're not on the air there. You've done some highlight work for the digital folks there, but you know, they picked up on that, you know, and I thought, and just getting in with, and what's great about sports is it's so subjective most of the time, unless you're talking about the score or records or whatever, but opinions of teams and who's going to win and why. And then that's great for the comments. But you know, you can always tell how engaged people are. Now, it was a small but engaged audience, but that's really what you want. So I already knew, and I think you knew, oh, you're onto something here. It's just a matter of, can you stick with it long enough to really see the numbers pan out and to see it really grow. And I think that's what's happening. I think 2016, you know, and you've gone through every year. You know, we look at the numbers and you send me and it's great to see it. But I think 2016, the way I see it, is I think this is being a real breakout year. And I know not only are you doing it by yourself, but I think there's some, you know, the lessons of collaboration, I think, is important. You started to do a little bit more of that, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the importance of collaboration and how that's kind of really contributed, especially during this year.
Yeah, I think my recent work has been the typical nose to the grindstone, head down, going straight at it. But it's also been a little bit more strategic. So I have relationships with probably about 75 various bloggers, broadcasters across the country that cover college football. And I got so busy creating content that I had to start to select, with no offense to certain people, because I would reach out to them and let them know, first off, if this is not something that you're interested in posting yourself to your site, then I probably don't any longer have time to do this content with you, unfortunately. So it was nothing against them. It was just I had to be a little bit more strategic. And so I think that initially, I don't want to say artificially, but to a certain extent, boosted the views, because I gravitated to those people that could help me and get the content on certain sites. But what I've noticed over the last in this big ramp up in the last 60 days is that even when I've created content on my own that hasn't been posted anywhere or involving anybody else, I just post it to my YouTube site, and it's not on an SB Nation site, for example. And I'll see, like the other day, I did something by myself, an Alabama Ole Miss preview. posted it at 6 o'clock in the morning, and by noon, 1 o'clock, I had 400 views on it just solely. And there are other examples of that where before I'd have 8 views. If it was solely determined on just my YouTube channel driving that, I'd have 8 views, in a day or whatever. I might have 15 the next day or whatever. But now I'm seeing a couple hundred to 500 in a half a day. And I'm seeing where my subscribers, as you mentioned, are pretty engaged. They're not just, it doesn't seem as though they're just subscribing because they came across something one time and we'll subscribe, and I don't really have an investment in this. I'm subscribed to 800 different YouTube channels. But these people, I've gone through their handles and gone through the comments that they've made to me. So I think I've got out of the roughly 1,200 subscribers, a pretty good core of very engaged subscribers.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot for building your channel, building your presence the right way. And I think a lot of people, what I notice lots of times is people, and we talked about this, people want the easy button, they want the shortcuts, they want this, they want to game it. You see a lot, I mean, part of my outside business beyond this show is not only producing video, live video, but also social media marketing. We work with clients. We help them with their social. We do social media management for clients. Kind of the background, the hardcore work that needs to get done. But one thing I notice is sometimes that and when people are just getting started with social, they tend to they want the quick hit, and there's different ways to kind of game things. And the same thing happens on YouTube. I mean, you could buy followers, buy subscribers, and this and that. But Mark, I mean, I think you've done it the right way. Where now you're about 1,100. You're a little over 1,100 subscribers now.
Yeah.
And if you're getting views in the 400, possibly 500 on certain videos that you're just putting up on your channel, and basically putting it out there for your subscribers, that tells me that not only did you do it the right way, but those people are real. They're engaged, like you said. You're attracting the right people. I think so many times people are so concerned about, even when they start doing video, they're concerned about, are people going to like me? Are they going to want to watch what I have to say? And I think they're more concerned about, I got to build the numbers, and maybe I'm going to be somebody else, or I'm going to be a different persona, or I'm going to talk about something that I think is hot, when I'm not really interested in, but I think it's hot. And maybe I'll track the numbers, and instead of worrying about or being concerned about attracting a real engaged audience, they're focused on the numbers. And what happens is I've seen channels where they'll have 5-figure subscriber counts, and you'll see these views on videos that are nowhere near the ratio that they need to be. So if you're at 1,100 or so subscribers and you're getting triple digit views consistently, to me that's a pretty good ratio, and that says a lot about building a subscriber base and attracting the audience the right way, because that's going to lead directly to views. And frankly, if you're interested in monetizing, you're going to need the eyeballs, obviously, as you build this thing out. But that's the right way, because then there's consistency there. As far as it being attractive to sponsors, if people are interested in monetizing, that's what you're going to look for. It's so easy now to pick out you don't want to be a fake. You really don't, because it's almost like, the way I equate it, it's like, and you, Mark, this, you're a manager at ESPN, you're involved in interviews, you're involved in the whole resume thing. It almost, it seems to me like a resume, right? So you can put together a fake resume and put together a great perception, but then you have to go in for the interview, and then you have to perform. So if there's nothing that backs up the resume, so in your case, nothing that backs up those subscribers, it's pointless, because you're not going to get the views, and you're going to be found out, So that's a great story that you tell, and I think that's a lesson for everybody that wants to build. I mean, the patience factor alone. I mean, you're in 6th year. I have always seen you as someone that's incredibly talented in front of the camera, and on talent, but it also takes time to put it out there. Nobody knows who you are. Just building the audience, getting people to come to you, spreading the word. That's just an organic process,
What's also exciting is collaboration with a few different pockets of people. So one in particular is an SEC breakdown platform that I have going with three other guys, David Waters, Chad Niepling, and Mike Laval. And we really have a good group of guys in regards to complementary skill sets. So you know my deal. And then we've got Mike, who is a very analytical writer, can really break down the perspective of college football and different issues that have layers to them. He's a very insightful guy, military guy, very, very solid guy, great analyst. We got a computer programmer in the bunch who helps us out tremendously. So you can go to secbreakdown.com and you see a site there that's been thrown up very quickly, put together, looks very professional, looks great. We're on iTunes. We're getting a lot of downloads for only being on iTunes for a few weeks. In just about 6 weeks on YouTube, we're up to about 140 subscribers. So we're building that out pretty well there too. So those views there, I'm on the videos on SEC Breakdown's YouTube channel as well, which you can tack on about 18,000 for the last month there as well. So those are added views, people being able to, and I put the links on there to try to draw them back to Mark Rogers
Absolutely.
TV.
Well, absolutely, and that's the value of collaboration, right? Because you're and I think you tell a really good story there as far as getting together with folks that are complementary, right? It's building a team. I mean, Mark, you've been in control rooms before. If you're in a TV control room, it's a team sport. So everyone has a certain job to do, and they're expected to do it right. Specialties, you have the director, they're directing, producers do their thing, graphics people do their thing, audio people, technical people, they're all doing specific jobs. So it reminds me very much of what you just described. Everyone has a specialty, but together you do great things. I mean, I'm a firm believer in it. I don't think anybody does anything really great alone. Very rare that happens. I mean, you go through I'll throw out an example, very timely example for today, since tomorrow the new iPhone's coming out, right? So Steve Jobs, everyone sees him as a visionary, as a legendary tech figure, but he didn't create the iPhone all alone. He had a team of very talented engineers and very talented designers to help him do that, and there are people that remain at the company to this day. But certainly Steve had the vision, but you need to be execute, and everyone has their skills and talents. And it's not a solo sport. I mean, just like you're mentioning, Mark, great example there. I should have said this at the top of the show. I do want to remind everybody, anybody watching on Facebook, we're not really watching the comments there. I will go back if there's any comments there and certainly address those. We are on btslive.com. That's kind of our main hub. There are plenty of friendly people in the chat room there. You'll find the chat room. RIC chat room that you can participate in. We certainly invite you to go there if you want to participate during the live show. But just for folks that happen to be watching on Facebook, just so you guys know. Mark, a couple of things that I want to get into. We talk about sponsorships. We talk about all that work you do to build viewership and all that stuff. And we want to make an announcement for this show. We have our first official sponsor that we want to debut today, and see if I can get the lower third up. And I want to thank a person in particular, and this is GoDaddy. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with GoDaddy. I use them for domain registration. They have many other services. They're actually expanding, and they're doing some interesting things. In fact, they just bought a service that I use, Managed WP, which is a service that will manage updates and plugins for multiple websites. If you have multiple websites, or if you're in business of managing multiple websites, they just bought Managed YP, so that's kind of cool there. But yeah, I mean, GoDaddy has come on board, and I want to thank Stephen Haywood. He's directly responsible for getting us involved with this, and it's nice. I mean, you do all this content, and and again, we're looking at sponsors that have a direct relationship to what we do. Obviously, we're on the web, and it makes sense to certainly partner with GoDaddy here. So, want to welcome GoDaddy as a sponsor. Mark, I know you're also going to be having GoDaddy in your shows. I know Steven has announced on his shows on Broadcast Now and also Weekly Roundup. I think he introduced his sponsorship this week, and we'll have a nice. What I want to do, Mark, is now I can't compete with Pizza Joe's on Stevens Network. That's legendary. That's untouchable. That's a Hall of Fame commercial. So I'm not going to go there. I know Brad's going to be disappointed. Walter might be disappointed, but I can't. That's legendary status. So I can't get there yet. But I'm going to do a mid-roll, and I'll have all the sponsors there. They're getting a kick in the chat room. So folks that are watching the replay, this is why you need to be here live, because the chat room is really, really funny. So GoDaddy, great registrar. I use them, and we got some great deals. In fact, we'll be introducing we have several different money-saving deals for folks that are interested in their services. One deal is up on the screen there, 30% off any new purchase using our promo code CJCBTS30. That'll get you 30% off. That's a great deal no matter how you slice it. I know, Mark, you're going to have similar deals. We have a deal for a $1 hosting we'll be coming out with, as well as there's another deal there, and I forget what it is. But we have several. So GoDaddy, want to welcome them as a sponsor to btslive.com. The other thing I do want to mention is, let me take this off here, is the camera that I'm using. And I'm just going to go to my full frame here. I don't know if you guys notice any difference, but I am using a new camera, and it's from the good folks at PTZ Optics, and I'm going to put up their lower third here so you guys can see. There we go, PTZ Optics. And let me show you the website. So these folks, Paul Richards and the crew over at PTZ Optics, they've been great, and they have supplied BTS Live, myself, with a beautiful PTZ camera. It's one similar to that's in the picture. In fact, I'll show you here on a different shot. These cameras here, these are called PTZ cameras, stand for pan tilt zoom cameras. And I'll tell you, the one they sent me, it's a 20x camera, and it's beautiful. And yes, Walter, it's very, very sharp. You normally use a Sony camcorder, a pretty expensive camcorder, about $1,500 camcorder. The camera that I'm using here is about the same price. And I wish I had a side-by-side. In fact, maybe I'll do that in a future show, because I plan on having Paul Richards, who's with PTZ Optics, as a guest, probably sometime in October. In fact, I'm going to be on his show in October. I'll get you guys a date, and we're going to be talking about, I'm going to actually bring this camera that I have to Cincinnati and do some work with it, and shoot some video and show it in the field as far as what a PTZ camera can kind of bring to remote production. I'm also going to bring it to another location I'm going to talk about shortly, international location. But yeah, I love this camera. It's what's great about it is you can set it up and you can pre-select shots. I'll get into this a lot more on a future show. But it's great, and what's great about this is if you're a one-man production crew, like myself, like Stephen Haywood, where this is it. We're a host, and I got Mark here, and I'm pushing the buttons, and it's kind of helpful to have this camera here where I can kind of pan, tilt, zoom, and control it, and so it's very, very handy. So ptzoptics.com. In fact, what we're planning on doing, I'm talking to Paul now, and we're looking to get some codes for you guys if anybody in the audience is interested. They make and you can see the quality here on the stream. They make terrific cameras, and I'm just thrilled with it. I got it last week, setting it up, and I was just chomping at the bit here to come alive and to show you guys. In fact, I'll show you here. This is the remote control. And what's cool is you can do you can hook up a joystick to it. They do have controller software. You can hook it up. Like, I can't hook it up to the TriCaster, or you can use an upward controller. But I'll show you. I mean, I can zoom in here. I'm used to using the remote control. I can pan, and then I hit the 1 and it goes right back to the shot there. So yeah, it's a great camera. So want to thank Paul Richards and the PTZ Optics guys, official camera of BTS Live. They're terrific, and we'll have a lot more about PTZ Optics in future shows. So that's kind of the sponsorship part of the show. So Mark, why don't we get into a little bit about what we're going to be coming up with? Not only am I going to Cincinnati, but there's a project that both you, myself, and Stephen Haywood are going to be involved with, and this is the first week of October. And in fact, I'm going to show you guys the web. Let me get the website up here, and I'll show you what I mean here. So this is what I mean. This is the website for the Video Summit Leipzig. Leipzig is in Germany, and I've been fortunate enough to be asked to speak at the Video Summit Leipzig. Let me just go to the page here where you can see our speaker page, and I'm going to show you something here. So I'm bringing this up. Let me go to the speaker page. So you'll notice a couple of familiar faces here. These folks, Glenn Gilmore and Antran. Antran, good friend of ours. She's responsible for getting me involved in this conference. And down here you'll notice a familiar face. Oh, who's that? That's Stephen Haywood. Why is he on there? Is he going to Germany? I don't know. And then we go down here and we see, okay, oh, here's another character here.
Oh boy.
Mark Rogers, huh? And then my wife Misty, and then myself. So we're all involved in this. So what the heck are we doing here? So let me go to the program and kind of show you what we got coming up here. So what's kind of cool is let me flip down here to the first of all, let me find it here. At the end of day 1. So the first thing I want to bring you guys' attention to is I'm going to be moderating a panel discussion at the end of day 1. It's a 2-day conference about the current developments in video marketing and their potential for brands. So I'll be the moderator, and we got Glenn Gilmore, my buddy Glenn, who's social media friend, Antran, and my wife will all be involved. And we'll be discussing video marketing and the potential for brands. We do it in our day jobs, and so it should be exciting talk there. But the main event is at the end of day 2, and you'll recognize those people there. That's myself, Stephen Haywood, and Mark. And originally, the conference organizer came to me and said, Marty, we want you to moderate that panel, but we also had an idea. Maybe you can do the closing session and talk about, the future of video and the platforms and the technologies and the strategies and that type of thing. And Stephen Haywood is asking about who that clown is in the middle picture there. I have no idea, Stephen. I don't know how he got in there. But I think we're going to launch an investigation and see who this guy is. But anyways, that's Stephen Haywood, of course. But anyway, so I said, okay, that sounds like a great idea. And then I thought about it for a moment, and then I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, let's think about this. So it's going to be video. I'm going to have my camera there. I'm going to have my laptop. I'm going to have my Wirecast. Now, I won't take my TriCaster. So I want to save my arm. My arm is already, I think it's already had it. So I got Wirecast, which is great. I just need my laptop, and it just needs to be, one camera. I might try to do 2 cameras. I'll see. But wait a minute, I got all that equipment. Well, maybe we should stream it, right? So I'm thinking, okay, let's stream it, And in fact, I think the conference organizer already beat me to the punch. They came there and say, what do you think about streaming the closing session, right? That's a good idea. Then I thought about this for a moment. Was, hey, wait a minute. I got a couple of guys back home that are professionals. Stephen, obviously, with the studio and all the things he does, and Mark being an on-camera on camera. He's an on-camera pro, and myself, I'm just trying to make sure everything stays together. I'm thinking, well, maybe we can get everything together. And even though Mark and Stephen aren't going to be in Germany, I'll be over there. It's going to be a great opportunity. So what we came up with was, well, let's put together a show, and it's a half hour. So let's have Stephen take care of kind of putting this thing together and running the show from his home studio, and then he'll bring me in via Skype in Germany, and then Mark can be via Skype from his home, and we can kind of do this and show, and then we'll have a live audience in Germany, not only observing what's going on, we'll have it on a big screen there, so they'll see the whole composite feed, but also they'll be able to ask questions of not only myself but also Stephen and Mark. And then we could have kind of this roundtable discussion between the three of us and kind of demonstrate that video nowadays is not, cordoned off or based on physical location. I mean, we have the tools and technology now to bring people in from all corners of the world, and that's really kind of the genesis of this idea. So I went to Stephen and Mark with it, and thank goodness they came on board and they were enthusiastic about being part of it, and so I'm excited about this. Mark, I mean, we still have to kind of talk about our outline, exactly what we want to do, but my concern is we only have 30 minutes, and so between the three of us, we got plenty to talk about. So it's going to be interesting to kind of keep it concise. But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's going to be October 4th, 4 p.m. Leipzig time, which is they're 6 hours ahead from Eastern time. So if you're on the East Coast here, we plan on live streaming it. So it'll be 10 a.m. in the morning here on the 4th of October, 7 a.m. on the West Coast. So that's pretty early. We'll be recording it, but we'll have it live. I think on their site. It'll probably be we're planning putting it on Facebook Live, on their Facebook Live page, and also embedding it on their site. Much more to come, obviously, as we get closer. But Mark, I mean, that's just going to be a lot of fun, I think, to do this. And again, really, the point of this is to demonstrate. We don't have millions of dollars here. I mean, Mark, you work for a major sports network, and the equipment that you get to be around and play with, that is millions of dollars. That's high, the bleeding edge. But I think what we want to demonstrate, and to the credit of Mark and Stephen for helping me with this and being involved, is that you do not need millions of dollars anymore to have a network style and high quality broadcast, and to be able to use video to get your message out there. So Mark, I mean, I'm beyond excited about this.
Yeah, I appreciate Marty, you offering the invitation out to me. That's an incredible honor, just to get me involved in whatever manner you want me to be involved. And as soon as you just spit out 30 minutes, I'm thinking, wow, I can definitely go 30 minutes. I used to do a 1-hour show on the internet, and with no commercials and sometimes no guests if they ditched me, and I'd talk nonstop for an hour. So I can do it, but I don't have to do it. I can be concise. You, on the other hand, my friend, I know that once you get wound up and get going, you're so geeked up about this stuff. That's going to be the challenge, keeping you down to your time limit.
Man, I mean, I'll tell you, and I know Steven's in the chat room, between myself and Steven, I mean, listen, I'm going to say the B word, the blab word, all right? And for this reason, I mean, you guys in the chat room, most of you guys know, we know you quite well. You guys are regulars here. Stephen and I have been known when blab.im was a thing, and they're no longer a thing. But when they were, beyond the professional level shows that we are used to doing, we would go on there, and we did these Friday night, like 6-hour marathons. Yeah, Walter's got it. These for those of you watching the replay, the chat is hilarious, so you guys got to be here when we're live. But we did these marathons, and so I don't know. I'm thinking 30 minutes. I mean, I don't know how the heck. I mean, Stephen and I can go on for hours. I mean, we'll talk about this. I mean, not only technical, but we kind of wrap around the philosophies, and we do all this stuff, and also help people with their questions and things. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting, because as I put this thing together, with you guys' help, I'm thinking, having a kind of a broad outline, because I don't think we're going to have any difficulty filling 30 minutes, and it's going to depend, the kind of questions that we get, and if we get any, interaction on Facebook. I don't think they'll have a chat room per se. I think we'll probably rely on Facebook, and also the in-house audience. I'm sure they'll have questions of myself and certainly you guys coming in. It'll be interesting to see what they think of all this stuff. But yeah, that's going to be the challenge, because we can go on forever about this stuff.
Marty, you've talked up my professionalism. So being a true professional, I've got to hit my time mark because that's what I used to be used to. On the internet, obviously you can go on and on. The podcast is 25:43 one week and it's 27:42 the next week. But I used to hit that set and know that I only had 4.5 minutes and needed to hit that mark. So I can do that. Go back to yesteryear.
You're a pro. Steven's a pro. I mean, Steven is very famous for starting on time, ending on time. He's got that tight hour every show he does. Me, on the other hand, who knows? I could once I get wound up, I can definitely talk about this stuff. So that's not going to be an issue.
And you're going to be live right there, so they can't shut you off. They're going to have to drag you off the stage.
Exactly. And then you guys, just so you know, the plan is in-house. They have a big, pull-down screen and a projector. And so the plan, and I was talking to their AV guys this past week, the plan is to have the program feed, Steven send back the program feed like he normally does during his shows. And in theory, I think we'll be okay. We tested it. I think we'll be okay. There should not be any delay. We should be fine with the mix minuses and all that stuff. So we should be good to go. And so we'll all be up on the big screen. And I'm just wondering what everyone in the audience will make of it and the kind of questions that will come. I don't speak German. I'm not sure how. And Steven says perfect sync. Exactly right. He's got the technology to bring us in on perfect sync, even across the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm not too worried about that. We'll get that dialed in for sure. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm just concerned about keeping it tight to 30 minutes. So that'll be my challenge for sure. So I'm not worried about you. You're good at you're a pro, so you know the timing. But me, it's a whole different story. So what are you?
We enjoy seeing you get wound up, Marty. That's you.
Exactly.
We love it.
Exactly. So I think we'll look to wrap this up. It's great to be back. Just to let you guys know, since I'll be traveling next week, there'll be no show next week. And then, Mark, I know you and I have some talking to do. And just let you guys know that watching, we are looking at how we're going to move this show forward. Because I know, Mark, you might become a little less frequent as a regular guest. I mean, you'll be back from time to time. We'll make sure that you'll always have a home here
if you'll let me.
But also that we're going to be looking at trying to work with you on your sports content. I know that we've talked to Steven. Steven's already made public the Webcast Online Network. So between the three of us, and I know Ross is involved in this, Ross Brand in the chat room. Between the four of us, I mean, we got big plans here. So we're working on content, a variety of content. So more to come on that. But no show next week, because I'll be in Cincinnati, but I plan on doing a show the following week, which will be, in fact, if we do it on Thursday, it'll be the day before I fly out to Germany. So that'll be a good time. We can kind of do a kind of a pre-show there and kind of get everyone set up for that. And Brad said he started a GoFundMe page for Marty's PT on his right arm. I think I'll survive, Brad. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna try to rest it and be ready for Wednesday for Cincinnati for carrying the bag. So I think I'll be good. I just got to get one of those warm, I don't know, those patches or something. I think that'll help.
Icy hot, isn't that it?
Yeah, something like that, right? Absolutely. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for welcoming us back. It's great to be back. No show next week. Be back the following week, and then it's off to Germany, and then we'll have good times after that. So thanks, everyone. We will see you again in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.